Hey crafty friends, it's Chelsea. In today's video, I'm doing something that I have never done before on my channel. I am creating 8.5 by 11 layouts using the brand new creative design team Sketchbook. I'm so excited to tell you about it. It's launching today. It has 42 8.5 by 11 layouts, and you can use those as single pages or double page spreads, whatever you like, and all the measurements are included, which makes it so fast and easy to put together layouts. I'm looking at the digital version on my iPad. Hopefully the reflection's not too bad for you guys. And you can look at it this way. You can print it at home, or something that I did with our 6x8 sketchbook that we released back at Christmas time is I sent it to Staples and got it printed in a hard copy, and I'm so happy with how that turned out. You can choose what paper you want, you can choose the covers, the binding, all that kind of stuff. So I will probably do the exact same thing with this one as well. If you'd like your very own copy of the sketchbook, you can click that link down in the description box and it'll take you over to the website where you can purchase the digital file. The rest of the creative design team will be posting videos using these sketches throughout the week, so make sure you're following along so you don't miss anything. It'll give you a great look at what's inside the book. For today's layout, I decided I'm going to scrapbook some childhood photos. So, now with current photography, we have so many options, so many photos from events and things. But when I look back at my childhood, this was film photography, right? So there's sometimes only a few photos from an event. Or like this, I want to tell a story about my personality and how I used to love making my family members crack up and make them laugh. So I thought this would be a great format to share that story. And then, of course, I thought the Cosette collection would be a perfect way to scrapbook this story. The colors go perfectly, a little bit of a vintage vibe, gorgeous patterns, and the soft colors I think will play really nice with my photos. Such beautiful paper, especially this pink will actually go really well with what I'm wearing in those photos. And then this is one of the mix-ins, the April to June mix-ins, and I'm going to use this side of it, kind of this like burlap texture or canvas texture. And then for stamps, I'm going to use the Cosette scrapbooking set. I love these delicate flowers and the leaves. I think it will go really well with this. I'm also going to bring in the Hey Handsome card making workshop, not for the stamps or anything, but for this pocket die right here. I love this little die, and I thought it'd be perfect for tucking in flowers and other little ephemera bits from this collection. So let's move this aside, get out our Versamats, and I'll show you what sketch I'm using. Okay, so I'm going to be using this one, which is one that I designed, and I did design it as a double page spread, and that's how I'm going to use it. Now, if you wanted to use these as single pages, what I would do is just balance the clusters. So you can kind of see I have my title and journaling and a big embellishment cluster here, balanced on the opposite corner with another cluster up there. So if you wanted to just do a single page, you could shrink this cluster a little bit and move this over there. Maybe put the title up at the top or down right here, and put your journaling on a tag and just tuck it behind. If you wanted to use just this page, I would bring in a little bit of embellishment, not this much, shrink it down and have a little bit embellishment up in that top corner just to balance it out. You can see all the measurements are here, so it's going to make my job today really easy putting this layout together. Okay, so I am starting off with French vanilla cardstock. I wanted my bases to be light so it's not competing with my pattern paper, and also because I want to journal right on my background. Now I have cut down 2 pieces of that mulberry pattern paper, and that's going to be kind of the base of where my photos are going to go. And then I have 2 strips of this pattern. I love this pattern. It's probably my favorite out of the whole collection. And this is going to go just down here towards the bottom. And then I cut down 2 of the zip strips out of this blue color. It has a nice little stripe to it. And those are going to go right in between and just break up between those 2 patterns there. And then I thought I'm going to do a double photo mat. So I have toffee cardstock, and then I have French vanilla cardstock, and then I trimmed down my photos to fit in there. So I'm going to have a nice small border of each color showing and just give me some definition there to help it pop. I didn't want to go with just the French vanilla because then I have so much of it in the background, but just the toffee kind of dulled my photos too much because there's a lot of brown from the cabinets and the table in my photos as well. So then we'll put the other two photos on this side. We are covering up a lot of that pink paper, so we're just going to have a little bit of it showing around the edges. Then I cut out 2 pockets from that mix-in paper, and I love how cute these are, and they have that little stitched border. I could also stamp the inside of the pocket. There is a little like stamped stitch marks that I could do, but I might leave them plain. I want to balance this out and put one down there and one up there. And now I do have some stamped flowers and greenery. I stamped these in intense black ink, and then I colored them with my TriBlend markers. And I used the dull green blend, the vintage blue blend, and the antique pink blend. And the vintage blue and the antique pink are perfect colors to go along with this collection. They match it really well. So what I wanted to do was kind of fill my little pockets here and just kind of play around and layer these pieces in here. I don't know exactly how yet, but that was kind of my inspiration for this. And of course we want to repeat that up on the top as well. I have another 3 pieces here. I did switch up the flowers. I don't want this cluster to be as big. I want it to be a little bit smaller. But I left a lot of background in these photos for a very specific reason, because when I look there, I vividly remember the wallpaper, the kitchen cupboards, all those things that were part of my childhood. So I think it's fun to have those in the pictures. Sometimes now I'm definitely guilty of zooming in too much and missing those background details. Now this is the general bones of these pages. My title's going to go here, some journaling, and definitely some more embellishing. I want to do a little bit of clustering. But before I get going on that, I want to ink my edges with some brown ink, and then maybe do even a little bit of paper tearing just to add a little bit more texture to this page. I'm going to use Toffee ink because this is one of my favorite browns. It's nice and warm. I think it goes really good with vintage sort of papers, and it's not too dark and not too light. So I'm going to keep it pretty narrow around the edge. I'm not going to bring the ink in very far because I mostly want the color of the paper to show, but I am going to ink all of the papers, including the base page. And now before I ink the edge of this one, I want to rip the bottom edge. I'm just going to do the bottom edges, not the sides or anything. I want those to be flat, and then I will ink them afterwards. I'm going to end up inking everything except for the flowers and my photo mats. Now I'm grabbing out the Dream Maker stamp. This is part of the special for May, and it has some really good images that are great for backgrounds. So I'm going to grab this text image. It's kind of uneven, which I love, and I'm going to pop that onto a block, and I'm going to use the same color of ink that I did my edges in, and I just kind of want this peeking out from behind my papers. So I'm going to try and keep it going out not too far. I'm rubbing the edge of the stamp to help soften the edges, kind of fade out the edges. I'm not getting perfect impressions. And actually, I am going to flip over my Versamat to the spongy side. This is great for stamping. Gives you that nice cushion, and you do get better impressions. And then I'm also going to do some second and third generation stamping. You can see I'm stamping behind where the photo mat's going to be, just so I can stamp off some ink so it's not too dark. And then I decided to bring in this Cosette card making workshop set. This only comes in the card making workshop, and I wanted to use this kind of like postal cancellation image, and I'm going to pop it onto a block here, and I just want this kind of poking out from behind. Just make sure you get it right side up. I was upside down there. Thankfully, I caught it before I stamped. But I'm going to do both first generation and second generation, so I get a darker image and then a slightly lighter image, overlap them a little bit, And I'm just going to also put on the little like wavy lines that are usually part of those cancellation marks, and doing second generation for those as well. So they're just a little bit lighter. I'm trying to make sure I don't overdo it. I love this kind of layering stamps, collage stamping, whatever you want to call it. But I love to do this kind of stamping, and it's easy to get carried away with it. So I'm trying to keep it under control. I grabbed this other image from that Dreammaker set, and it's kind of like a grungy, splattery sort of image, but I want it just peeking out from my edges, not all the way down, just kind of here and there in a couple of different spots. First generation mostly. Once I kind of get into a rhythm stamping, sometimes I just keep stamping until I'm happy and I don't even think too much about it. I just keep going until I'm like, okay, that's enough. I also want to add some stamping on the left page, and rather than just using the one Versamat, I flipped over the Versamat so I could keep the right-hand page kind of in my view next to it, so I can keep an eye on, if the stamping is becoming too overwhelming. So here I'm going to start off the stamping really high in that left-hand corner, and then it kind of tapers off and just, ends. So it's not going all the way across the top. I want it to kind of be stronger in that far left-hand corner and then just kind of taper off under the photo mat there. I went ahead and adhered down the zip strip, that blue zip strip, and the pattern paper that's below it, which is really helping me here because I can see exactly where that mulberry pattern paper has to go. It's kind of like a little shelf, and that way I can make sure I'm getting my stamping right where I want it, and I'm not just guessing. I know what stamping is going to be showing, and if I need to bring a stamp higher up, restamp it. It's a really nice way to make sure I'm getting stamping exactly where I want it and be in a little bit more control. But if you're nervous about doing this kind of stamping, you can also not stick anything down yet. You could have just those mulberry pieces there just floating on your page and be able to move them back and forth. And that way, if you really mess up the stamping or you're really not happy with how it's looking, then you could just cut new base pages and start over. I'm using my adhesive to stick these pieces down. I'm leaving the top and bottom with not much adhesive in case I decide I want to put things underneath. And for this one, I'm actually double checking to make sure I get it right. I'm only going to put adhesive around the bottom and the two sides, leaving the top open so that I can put that tag underneath. I want to have some journaling that can go in and out for a little bit of interaction. So this tag is actually left over from the Cosette scrapbooking workshop. So it has a label on the back that says which page it was for, which is great when you're doing the workshops. You know where all the die cuts are supposed to go, but I need to cover it here. So I grabbed one of the Cosette Picture My Life cards. This one is a 3x4, and I'm just sticking it to the back. I'll trim off the excess and then punch a hole back in the tag so that I have a nice pretty side on that tag and not the label. Okay, it's time to get my photos stuck on there. I love these photos of me. I was such a little clown, and I think these photos really show that perfectly. I'm going to start layering up those flowers that I had colored. I was trying to determine if I should put them under the pink layer or under the pocket, and I want that pocket to come lower. So I'm going to need to put them behind the pocket instead of behind the paper. And when it comes to doing little floral arrangements like I am here, I always tend to kind of overthink it and move everything here and there and make slight adjustments that really don't make a difference in the end. I would love to know in the comments if you guys do the same, whether with flowers or just embellishments in general. Make all these tiny little adjustments trying to get it perfect when you could have probably just plopped it in there. I am adding one more flower to that little pocket. There was just kind of an empty spot there, so I wanted to fill it in. Now, that white piece there is from the embellishment pack that goes along with this collection. It's the paper board, and I'm going to try and layer it together with some of the stickers. I wanted to use this little circle that says smile, and then I thought this other stamp would work really well, but it's the same color as the circle. So what I ended up doing is I'm just grabbing this scrap piece of paper. The back side of that pretty pattern that I love so much actually has a bunch of like postage stamps and little envelopes and everything. So I'm going to cut out this little postcard here and layer it behind that paperboard postage stamp, and it works perfectly as a little embellishment. That little word strip there is going to get moved around my page a little bit, but it'll end up on the right-hand page. Now I am spending quite a bit of time on embellishing and stamping, and I colored the florals, but what I love about using a sketch is that it gives you more time for all this fun stuff rather than worrying about the design. Now I'm bringing in another one of the pocket cards. I loved these butterflies and I thought they would work great on here. One side has smaller ones, one side has larger ones, and I decided to go with the ones that were smaller, and I'm glad I did. I think the big ones would have been too overpowering. Now down here I have a couple more pieces that were in the scrapbooking workshop that I had left over, and then you can see I'm bringing in that word strip that says "Love This Life," and that's going to get layered over top of those two pieces. That typewriter that you see there to the right is from the sticker sheet, and then I'm also going to bring in this other sticker that is like a bundle of letters, and I'm going to let it hang off the edge and trim whatever is hanging over off with my scissors. Now of course I had to go back and add some cord to my tags, because if I leave tags without anything on them now, all I can think of is Aaron and Katie telling me that that's not okay. No, but I thought it would be nice to add another texture too. So this is just some brown cord from my stash, and I'm just adding it to those two tags. Then I've grabbed out my T-ruler and I'm using this sticker from the sticker sheet that says "Life." I do have two brackets from the paperboard set, but I end up getting rid of them because it's just too busy with the stamping. And I have to shift these over a little bit. I'm trying to use that T-ruler to help me get these straight, but trying to get them centered left to right was a little bit tricky. And then I'm adding a sticker from the sticker sheet that says "This," and I put it up on foam tape so it says "This Life." And then underneath, that's where my journaling lines are going to go. So I'm using a pencil and my T-ruler, and I'm just going to draw a whole bunch of lines. Usually I need more space than what I figure I need. I always run out of space doing my journaling. So I'm just going to fill this whole area. And if it doesn't work out, I can always add some stickers at the bottom to kind of fill up any empty gaps. Now, after I got that black title up there, I have the black typewriter, which are all quite heavy elements. There's the butterfly at the top that has quite a bit of black. I felt like the bottom needed a little bit more visual weight, and I thought I'll try just this tiny strip. This is like 1/8 of an inch strip of black cardstock, and I'm just going to tuck the other piece in the end here so it looks like it goes all the way across, and I love it. It was just that tiny finishing detail that this needed. Now before I go in and add my story, I decided that I wanted to do some splatter. So I grabbed my all-purpose mat, and then I'm going to use something I haven't used in a long time. These are the Lindy Stamp Gang Magicals in Clam Beige, and basically they are a mica powder. I've had this for years. I have a whole little collection of them, and it's a dry powder, which means it basically never goes bad. Like, I don't think there's anything in it that could go bad. So even though I haven't used this for years, it's not like a paint that's going to dry up on you. You just hydrate it with some water or mix it into other mediums like gel medium, and then you can use it. And they are shimmery and pigmented. There's a whole rainbow of colors. So I brought out this beige. It's pretty close actually to the toffee ink, and it just adds a little bit of shimmer, a little bit of splatter, but it's not super bold, so it doesn't take away or draw the eye too much. It just fits right in with my page. I'm protecting my photos here with some printer paper, and they dry really fast. Like, it only took maybe a minute or two for it to dry. I'll give you a close-up look at it here. It's really hard to catch the shimmer on camera, but they do have a nice light shimmer to them, and different colors have different amounts of shimmer. You can see I have some dimension in my florals there. I used some thin 3D foam tape to pop them up, and I curled the wings on my butterflies to give them a little bit of lift and dimension. I know those will get crushed a bit when they go in the page protector, but I think it still gives them a little bit more shape. I love how these pages came out. The sketchbook made it so super easy. And if you guys want to get your hands on the sketchbook, make sure you check out the link down in the description. And also make sure you're following the rest of the creative design team. You can check out the playlist here so that you don't miss any of the videos this week as they're posting. And I will see you next time. Bye.